Hi, my name's Dee and welcome to Sunchild Tarot. Now these are your full moon general readings for the sign that's in the title below. As ever, bulk introduction, timestamp below, but listen to it just once through. Because I would advise that you listen to three of these. Your sun, obviously, your moon sign, because hey, it's a full moon, and your rising sign, as that's the most important to your story. So watch all three if you've got the time. Now, this is full moon in Virgo, 8 degrees of Virgo. So I'm not going to talk long about the astrology of this full moon, because if you follow the link to the Facebook page to this channel that's in the description below, you'll notice that I've posted a lot of the astrologers' analysis and breakdown and weather forecast videos about this full moon, and they're going to do it better than I do. Also, there's an inbox on that page, so if you want to contact me directly for a personal reading, there's a good way to do it. But this full moon, 8 degrees Virgo, so this moon is ruled by Hariel, the angel Hariel, who represents in astrology long-range vision and purification, which is, I find, a very, very interesting symbol. Because obviously this is all on the backdrop of Saturn square Uranus, the force for tradition and rules and endings, but tradition and rules against the new, the innovative, the chaos elements that Uranus will bring through. So Saturn is ruling this chart like it did on the new moon chart, and I talked about that back in the new moon videos. Now Saturn at 8 degrees Aquarius is now being ruled by Nelchael, who, interestingly, is an angel about eradicating plague and an ardent desire to learn. So it's almost like the Saturn energy is like, yeah, this may be the way we've always done it, and we've got to stay in the way that we've always done it, but we've also got to learn to do it better in these limitations because it's not working. As simple as that. It's not working. Now, as I say, Nelchael or Saturn is ruling this chart, so we're looking at eradicating plague, which you can't deny the symbolism of that one at the moment. But what is interesting is, out of the chart itself, the most talkative angels are Sahalia and then Kahatel. Now, let me just check because I didn't write it down. Sahalia is ruling both Venus and Lilith, and Kahatel is, Kahetel, sorry, I should say, is ruling Pluto and Chiron, like I think Kahetel has been doing for a while. Now, the conversations that are going on here is Sahalia represents letting go and mental force. So it's eyes on the prize. That's where we're headed, and all this other stuff is not necessary. Whereas Cartel is all about diffusing negative energy. And as I say, those are the two most talkative angels in this chart, theoretically, all subservient to Nelchael in this chart. However, they are pretty much talking to all the planetary degrees, all the other angels at the moment. So it's almost like the king says one thing and the advisors are going, are you sure? Are you really, really sure? Do you not think there's a better way of doing it? What if you think about this way? What if you think about that way? But I think there's a better way of doing it. And they're going around the royal court and they are building up support, or they're acting like the chief whip of a political party, doing exactly the same, drumming up the support. Have I got your vote? So there's also this is directed, or the spotlight of this conversation is the moon, Hariel, long range vision and purification. That's the agenda that they are putting on the table in front of Nelchael or Saturn. And it's really interesting because the moon is quincunx, or I should say, as Rick Levine would say, quincunx Saturn. So Saturn doesn't really know what the moon's on about at all. You know, it's almost like, yeah, newfangled stuff, not my thing. But it is necessary, and that's why we have the this influence of Sahalia with letting go, and then Kahatel just keeping everything calm, diffusing the negative energy. Yes, that's going to be awkward, but we can do it. And Sahalia, with their mental force, can go, hell yes, we can. Well, maybe not hell, they're an angel, but oh yes, we can do this. So there's, it's really highlighting an agenda shift. Now, the astrologers will also have mentioned it's good for relationships, this full moon. Again, go and watch all the astrology videos that I've posted. I'm seeing, looking at it from the degree angels level, this is, it's like that tagline, things will never be the same again. We are setting the agenda for the new world. We have a new world. I've not heard that phrase, the new normal, so much recently, but there's still a lot of political agenda to try and make the old normal return. But let's be honest, it's not going to happen. It is a new world. It's a new world every day. Oh, that, I'm sure that's a song. But it's a new world every day anyway, but it is very much a new world. And Saturn, in its square to Uranus, in its quincunx to the moon, is, I'm almost seeing, desperately trying to hold things together, which I think is quite, yeah, look at the news. Saturn is definitely trying to hold things together, and at some points it's succeeding, and at some points it's fading. But the counsel of the angels here is to try and just, let's make this process a bit easier. Now, what is interesting with Saturn as well is this, where have I written 8 degrees Aquarius? This is Spider-Man's Saturn. This is the Saturn on the first publication date when Spider-Man first hit the stands back in 1960 something, which I completely forget off the top of my head. But there is that message, with great power comes great responsibility. So Saturn is almost forced to accept that things have to change somewhere. And of course, Saturn is in Aquarius. It is looking more towards the future. It is looking to expand, to work with the community. Now, the symbols, after I'd figured all this out, I went and had a look at the various symbols for 8 degrees Virgo. And yeah, you'll have to forgive me. It's obvious I'm reading from the screen. So first we'll start with the inside degree, a man mixing cement. So we've got this image of, if you're mixing cement, you're building something, you're creating something. But the explanation of the image says jammed tight with concepts, thinking about what you are doing, interpretations, evaluations, opinions, and surmises, void of heart force, believing in progress, bent upon success. You strictly, rigidly carry out what the mind dictates. It goes a bit dark here. A form of ignorance that is very clever. Something missing in the soul. Compensations on top of compensations. Exceedingly busy, hyper with plans, projects, and enterprises. You're very good at achieving results. Riveted with to the phenomena, but prone to casting shadows that come back to haunt. So again, we see the reason for that influence of Cahatel, of the diffusing the negative energy, because everybody wants the world to return to normal really, really quickly. But that ain't going to happen. Or at least the old normal ain't going to happen. But I love that, just that one image of the man mixing cement. This is the point where we start building. The new moon was, if I remember correctly, was all about finally integrating and starting to act on all the lessons that we've learned during the Capricorn cluster and 2020, which I think is very nearly ended. Well, or at least March 2020 has very nearly ended. Well, we may be in the 450th of March, but you know, we can see the turn of the page coming. Now, the Sabian symbol is equally as intriguing, and this one more encouraging. So the Sabian symbol is an expressionist painter at work. The interpretation saying about boldly breaking new ground. We must carve out our own path according to our own sense of who we are and what only we can do. Our right to be unique and our ability to express in this uniqueness creatively must be asserted. We must take it. It cannot be bestowed by a teacher. It is only the potential to be original that is a given in life. Originality itself must be assumed. Life is risky and we have to live with that. So again, there's that balance of, you know, with great power comes great responsibility, and the fact that things need to change. Uranus is going, oh yeah, change, change, bring change. But again, Uranus, that's its natural spirit. In Taurus, that change is not really as fast. Some astrologers say that Uranus in Taurus, it's almost like it's, yeah, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. It's probably thinking about it wildly, but not going to do it. And then, bam, that's where the lightning strikes, because it just can't hold back anymore. Now, there is a thing called seed degrees and fulfillment degrees that I've learned from a blog, John Sandback, I think his name is. But for this full moon at 8 degrees Virgo, the where things come to a head for whatever is stated here or set into motion here. So stated as in a natal chart, or set into motion as in, you know, just the mundane transit chart. The fulfillment degree is 13 degrees Gemini. So I rather think that that is a point to be watching out for when other planets come to pass 13 degrees Gemini. The other interesting things that I noticed, Mercury, 13 degrees Aquarius. This is and of course I'm going to talk about comics and magic. This is the Mercury of Grant Morrison. Now, if you are familiar with Grant Morrison as a writer, superb writer, really likes to put layers upon layers upon layers of what it is that he's putting forward. You know, whether it's his signature series, The Invisibles, which went really deep into all sorts of woo-woo, or just his time on the Justice League of America, where it was like big concepts that would stick with you and you'd still be thinking about them several days later. Also, Israel Regadi of the Golden Dawn, this is his Chiron. So without diving into the details of Israel Regadi's life, there's that opening for disciplined magical healing is what I'm seeing from that, because that's how I'm assuming Chiron can be interpreted within Israel Regadi's chart, or at least taking it out of his chart and looking at it with the rest of the world. So, these readings, they are same as ever, by sign. It's the Gods at Play reading. We look at the gods that are supporting you during this period, and we look at the more archontic forces, or the gods that aren't really gods. Their energies designed to suppress you and keep you away from your glorious destiny, soul function, soul purpose, yes, soul function, which will be on the top row of the reading. it is a look at the energies. You can ask a question like I'd normally ask you to within your monthlies, but I ain't going to guarantee that there will be an answer. And again, like any form of tarot scope, it's either it makes sense to you or it doesn't. And if it doesn't make sense to you, then it's probably not for you. This is a YouTube reading. I am not sat with you face to face. So it's either going to confirm what you already know, stroke success, suspect, give or take the influence of confirmation bias, or it's not. And if it's not, then you can probably ignore it. Or maybe just think about it and then forget about it unless something occurs that makes you go, oh, yes, we know a song about that. So obviously, like, share, subscribe, join the Facebook page, because that way it's a one-stop shop for all the astrology videos as well as my videos. And like I say, you can contact me there. Subscribing to the channel really does help the channel. Liking helps the algorithm boost the video. I'm sure you know the YouTube politics by now, so if you're so inclined, please do help my YouTube politics, or Google politics, as Chris Witecki calls it. That's everything. I've waffled long enough. Let's crack on with the reading. Cheers. Okay, Aries, two messages I see coming out of all these God cards before I even start listing them is beware of going along to get along, and be suspicious of any solutions that are offered to you that don't come from you, that aren't your own. So the gods that are on your side, that are supporting you, we have one of the cupbearers of the gods, Hebe, here representing play. We have Aries, so that's your, I mean, that's your god, isn't it, Aries? You're named after one another. With here representing war, but also that basically all those Martian energies, that get up and go-ness and the right, we're going for it nature that Aries is so popular for. We have Penelope, the wife of Odysseus, here representing reunion. But you could also turn around and say that Penelope had faith, because we have immediately Jeanne d'Arc, or Joan of Arc, with faith straight after. And Penelope held faith that Odysseus would return. And so she craftily fought off all the suitors that came to woo her while she was waiting for Odysseus to return. And then finally, Ursula, here representing prosperity. But when you are in the field or sphere of Ursula's influence, you have to act with a certain amount of respect. You have to respect other entities. You have to respect the rules if there are any. And that's a really interesting point, because from the Daemon Tarot, we have Amducius. Now, Amducius, the Goetic spirit Amducius, rules the decan, that the 10-degree section of the zodiac that Saturn currently resides in. So we have that presence of Saturn here. So it's almost like you are being put on the side of Saturn here to test everything that comes along. And you have that support of building. So solutions that you are comfortable with, that you create, especially that you create to set things right. Now, the dangers here. So the Archons this month for you are masking themselves as Themis, the goddess of justice, here representing natural order. And I have a parcel, so just bear with me 1 second. And there, I thought Mercury had already gone direct again. So anyway, as I was saying, we have the Archons masquerading as Themis, the goddess of justice, Maui, the Hawaiian god of discovery, or representing here discovery anyway, Nike, or Nike, victory, Hathor with contentment. So there's where I got that whole going along to get along. And Penthesilea, guilt. Penthesilea was one of the, if I remember correctly, she was one of the Amazons, and there was something that she'd done that weighed very heavily upon her. So this indicates to me that you would be presented with a solution to something, a course of action to something, which may even be enforced in law, or when I say enforced in law, this could be in the context of a family situation. So we're not necessarily talking about the statute books. It could be within a work situation where we do things this way, that Saturnian influence I was talking about in the introduction. But someone discovers, or you discover as they present it to you, a way of staying within the already existing rules that will be a win-win for everybody. Honest, it's only the right thing to do. You'll be happy, and you will be encouraged to go along with that, whether through the contentment aspect or the guilt aspect. But there are better ways for you to set things right, whatever this, if there is a guilt to be exploited here, why don't you exploit it rather than let somebody else exploit it? Why don't you go, yeah, I need to set this right. I feel that I've been involved in this, and therefore that's icky. I don't like it. I don't like the fact that my name's even associated with it, and you come up with the solution. Because the angel presiding over all this, we have the angel of the miracle of love, which is always a good sign. I am brought alive by the miracle of love. So when guilt is being used against you, there's a hint that you should be looking at self-love. And that's, I think, what Ursula would be saying here, because with Ursula, within her domain, you have to treat her and all of her people and residents with respect. That includes you. If you're in her domain, you are one of her residents, and therefore you should be treated with respect. And who's the first person who should treat you with respect? That would be you. So it's not that you are diving ahead, creating some wonderful new solution for people that is carried along by others. It's more that you are quietly going, better way to do this, far better way to do this, and you just get on with it, and not, how can I put it? You're not even necessarily presenting it to other people. It's just you are doing your solution, full stop. But there isn't that whole, there's a danger in going along with the crowd here. Because what is being posed to you as the natural order, as this is just, this is right, with a little bit of examination, is it? Because what I really like is in these cards, so there's Themis looking all wise and natural, and is I am the goddess of justice. Remember, this is not her, this is an archon. And he be there with play, poking at her, going, really? Is that really what you are? Really? Well, what do you think about this? What are you going to do about that then? Oh, goddess of justice. And there's so when you find that reaction coming up in you, that sort of, really? Oh, and that's so all of a sudden you're Superman. Well, I mean, of course I am, but all of a sudden you're Superman, or all of a sudden you're Mother Teresa, or all of a sudden you are Lord High Justice or something. Really? Is that what you think? And you can play with that idea while just going and getting on with what solution that you have. Because with Penelope and Joan of Arc here, I mean, I am getting that reunion vibe with Penelope. There's you coming back together with something that is important to you, something that you have probably long held dear to your heart, however distant it may be. But the point is that you have faith in what you know is right, you have faith in what you see is the correct way forward, and you have faith that your plan, whatever it may be, is a solution that you can use. Because I think it's really, okay, so I think it is really interesting that we have that guilt being used against you, but with Pahalia here from the Oracle of Heaven and Hell, it was talking about redemption. So whatever this guilt trip that is being used against you, it's effective, it's relevant, it will make you go, oh dear, yes. But it doesn't mean, just because the guilt trip is hard hitting, it doesn't mean that the solution that is coming along with it is the correct one to deal with that guilt or setting things right or what have you. So let's have a look what the... Yeah, but, oh, now. So with Themis we have the Emperor. So there's that sense of the law being laid down. But the law being laid down in a way that it really offers you, or appears to offer you, I should say. It appears to offer you a sense of dominion, a sense of you're going to get something back from this. But that guilt, look, Moon card here with Penthesilea, that guilt is a complete illusion in the first place. And I rather feel here that Hathor representing contentment, contentment isn't enough. Now, with Hebe here, the one who was poking fun at Themis, we have the Magician. And there is that, I'm sensing that sort of trickster element here. With Aries, we have the Ace of Swords, clarity. So there is something that you are wanting to fight against, and yes, but I do feel that there's quiet ways to do it. There's yes, so there's quiet ways to fight whatever you are perceiving as that restraining force around you, or whatever this obstacle may be, and it's information that will be your weapon, your tool of redemption, of setting things right, of fighting this urge up here to go along with whatever is presented to you as the big solution. Let's all jump on this bandwagon. And it's like, nope, thanks. I've got my little car over there. It might be a clown car. It might have one of those hooters that goes honk, honk. But it's my car and I'll drive it where I want. I'm not just going to give it up and get on your big bandwagon. Following that path, again, keeping the faith, we have, with Penelope and Jeanne d'Arc, we have the Hierophant, that whole sense of keeping the faith and of acting within defined moral guidelines, as a la Ursulae, but also I've always done it this way, so now I'm doing a new thing, but in the same way as I've always done them, which is not the way that's being offered for me. This leads to a wonderful new beginning. But there is a choice here that you can choose to respect all those involved, and that also includes those who are leading you astray here, or not. On Ursula with prosperity, we have the Two of Wands, that big choice card. So that you do choose to forge your own prosperity alongside treating others with the respect, even those who are trying to lead you astray. Or you don't. As simple as that, you know. This, but I think there's a bonus in adhering to that. As much as you want to go to war, you can go to war in a crafty and polite and civilized fashion, if that makes sense. I hope this makes sense. What's the so we have person here on the bottom of the Oracle of Heaven and Hell, libertines and renegades. Ah, yeah. So again, there's don't. As much as I'm saying yes, rebel, don't go along with the crowd. There is a danger in just being rebellious for rebellious's sake, rebellion's sake, I suppose I should say. I hope this makes sense for you, Aries. That's what I'm seeing for the full moon to full moon for you. That is really, really interesting. Enjoy. So, like, share, subscribe, comment. If it means anything to you, comment, because it's always good to know. And I will see you at the monthlies. Cheers.